Damon, you were talking to me about it pre-show, but you know what we like to say? Get Seth Dagey in a recruit's living room and watch him come to Tucson.
Welcome on in, guys, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K here at PHNX HQ3 in the lovely, beautiful downtown Phoenix. I am, of course, Damon Fairall. He is, of course, my good pal, partner, friend. I don't know what else. I was trying to think of something else. Kevin Thomas. The superlatives, I guess, run up a little dry, Kevin. I'll work on that one a little bit more so down the line. But how are we doing today, guys? It is the AZ Wildcats podcast. And, of course, we are ready to talk some Arizona Wildcats basketball, previewing Kansas State versus Arizona tomorrow, as well as giving you a quick update on what Arizona football has going on in the transfer portal. Exciting things here on the horizon, Kevin. But first off, I do have to say we are presented by our sponsors of Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order. Again, that's at brandedbills.com. You're going to want to check out that campus collection for yourself. But Mr. Kevin Thomas, we have had kind of a sparse few days here as a podcast.
True, actually.
Off Wednesday, off Thursday, back Friday. Saturday bowl game stuff kind of felt like a vacation. Off Sunday, off Monday. Now we're back on a Tuesday. How you living, my guy? How was the little break?
It felt like, honestly, this whole holiday season felt like you and I took like a month off from work, and then we just took a trip to San Diego and unfortunately saw a bowl loss, and then came back and we're like, all right, now we're gonna get back to work. But in all seriousness, though, like, had a great holiday break, had a great time, even though there was a bowl L in San Diego with you and Noah. Came back, spent some time with my girlfriend and the dog, and ready to get back to the Big 12 basketball season, Damon. The K-State is on the horizon. Seth Dagey and Danny Gonzalez, Brent Brennan and company, they're absolutely cooking in the transfer portal as well. So all things are good right now on my side of the town, Damon. Should we start with the news? The genuine news of the day is that Arizona has a couple new transfer portal additions already.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we should start off with the first addition that was made here, and that was the long snapper in the form of Arkansas State transfer. And I apologize for not having this name ready to go right here. But Arkansas State transfer Drew Nicholson will be taking over long snapping duties for the Wildcats next season. I believe Drew Nicholson is a Valley native. He's an Arizona kid. And I was doing some research, Kevin, into Arkansas State's kicking game last season because I think that Jason Scheer had tweeted out once this commitment was made official that Arizona feels that Michael Salgado Medina's struggles last season were more to do with the process of the kicking game than the kicker itself. Now, do I fully subscribe to that thought? No, I don't. And I do think that there is a confidence aspect of kicking that raises some eyebrows for me of like, man, do we really want to go with the guy who like knows the fan base doesn't really F with them right now, right? Like, because that's a scary proposition. I think that like you even have a guy like, and unfortunately, I'm sorry to bring this up so early, but like Tyler Loop, he's nails. But there's got to be a little bit of concern if you're an Arizona fan that's just rooting for him, or as a Ravens fan that like missing a kick like that could be detrimental to the future of your career because it just gets in your mental a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's my concern from the MSM side of things of like, is he truly going to be, and it was too soon, Burries Muse, but is he truly going to be, you know, just that guy next season, the talent that we all know that he has with new, you know, a new long snapper, a new placeholder? I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case, but that's what Brent Brennan and Craig Nivar in Arizona think is the case clearly. And they bring in Drew Nicholson to help fix that process, Kevin. And at Arkansas State last season, their place kicker hit 36 of 37 extra points and hit 21 of 27 field goal attempts, with 3 of those misses coming from 50 plus. So he only missed, 3 field goals here from inside of 49 yards last season. That was the Arkansas State kicker. So, that guy might be better than Michael Salgado Medina, but also that tells me that the process in which Arkansas State was putting out there on a weekly basis was a good one, was one that was successful, right? And so I think that's where, I'm sitting here and I'm saying this is a good addition. I know that people were making some jokes. I get it. It's funny. You're kind of quiet when really all the dominoes are starting to fall, and your first addition is a long snapper, and ASU fans who have had a lot of really loud additions thus far in the portal are having a field day with that. But at the end of the day, this was actually a big need for Arizona. And I remember multiple times during the season, Kevin, looking at you and going, man, that was the snap. That was the snap. That was not on Michael Salgado Medina. That was a horrible snap. And I think we saw that consistently happen last year. Michael Salgado Medina, conversely, only converted 61% of his field goals, while Arkansas State's kicker converted close to 78% of his field goals. Huge difference. So I think this is actually an addition that Arizona made that might make a bigger impact than we think.
It does. And I mean, we talk about an Arizona team that was so close, marginally close, to beating BYU, to beating Houston, to being in a Big 12 title type of scenario. What's one of the margins in which they failed this year? Special teams. What's one of the margins within special teams in which they failed? Long snapper. To underscore that, I mean, they are half-hearted, jokingly giving Justin Spears tryouts for long snapper, right? And that doesn't happen if, no media member is jokingly getting a rep at QB, at a spring situation, because no one's worried about Noah Fafita. There's no need for someone to do that. But Justin Spears is out there taking long snapping reps in his backyard because, hey, maybe there's a chance that Arizona needs Justin Spears. But jokes aside, this was a real need, right, to that exact end. And so for Arizona to address that need first thing in the portal was good. Now, another need was maybe a more explosive tight end, or maybe a more high-end tight end in that tight end room. We had some productive ones this year, some guys that really stepped up. For example, Barmore was a guy that really, really improved over the course of this year.
Absolutely.
But, Damon, you got the number 6 tight end in the portal right now, Cole Rusk, out of Illinois, someone that I'm pretty excited about as well. So what can you tell us about the new tight end for Seth Daigie's offense?
Cole Rusk is graded out as a top 100 player in the portal right now. He didn't necessarily have the best season of all time last year. You're not going to look at his 217 yards, his 19 catches, and his 1 touchdown and be in complete awe. But I think this guy is actually a pretty damn good commit. He's 6'5". He's 250 pounds. He's definitely a blocking tight end of sorts. And I think Arizona, Sam Olsen was that guy for Arizona last year, but this is an upgrade in that department. I think that, Cole Rusk is a guy, he only has 1 year of eligibility remaining, but he has done it on a higher scale before. He was at Murray State, Kevin, 2 years ago in 2023, and he was a third-team FCS All-American that year. He was a damn good player, one of the better tight ends in the FCS. He makes the jump up to Illinois, and he ends up being a productive player for them, albeit not necessarily a star player for them. I think this is a starting caliber tight end that Arizona brings in early, and now it gives you a little bit more room to play with, I guess, on other positions. You have Tyler Powell, who you assume will be healthy next season, and you have Cole Rusk. So that gives you 2 tight ends that I think you could feel pretty comfortable with on next year's roster. And hopefully, I think 2 tight ends that are maybe better than what you had on this year's roster. I don't mean to disrespect Cameron Barmore. No, saying, well, put that to the side. But Cameron Barmore is I thought he played really well this season. And when he was given opportunities, really showed out. Maybe we could see more of the same in this guy. I tweeted out that this is our version of Tip Ryman. On the Cardinals, who of course has become one of the fan favorites of the Arizona Cardinals. But I like this commit, Kevin. I think that this fills a big need for Arizona.
It does fill a big need for Arizona. And one thing that I wanted to, I guess, have a conversation with you about, I don't really necessarily have a take on it. I think it'd be unfair to Rusk for me to have some sort of take about this. But what do you make of him making the step up from Murray to Illinois and his production pretty much getting halved, and then him, I would say, making another step up into the Big 12 conference from Illinois to Arizona? Do you think that we're looking at a situation where maybe Seth Doege thinks that he was misutilized at Illinois and there's real talent that has yet to be tapped into there, and he can maybe shine this piece of coal up into a diamond, to pardon the pun there? Or do you think that there's actually a chance that this could be another step up without showing improvement yet at that level?
Yeah, I mean, he at Murray State, he totaled 39 catches, 507 yards, 6 touchdowns. Really good season for a college football tight end, averaging probably about 40 yards a game in that scenario, basically half a touchdown a game. Like, clearly it makes sense that you're going to go from Murray State football to the big show, which is the Big Ten, and maybe not be as productive as a player, but I think that, that's him getting his feet wet for the first time of major college football, and now he takes a step back down. Now he goes from the Big 10 to the Big 12. And so he will be a little bit more used to seeing those type of athletes. He clearly has the size at 6'5", 250 pounds. I mean, that's absolutely massive for a college football tight end. That's like big for an NFL tight end, actually. I think that this is the type of player that you absolutely take a risk on. And also Arizona had success with FCS guys last year. So who's to say that they can't bring in, more kind of the FCS all-stars, if you will, and have a bit of success with that in 2026. So I like the Cole Rusk addition. I think it's a solid one. I think he'll be the starting tight end next year. And he looks the part. He really does. He looks like a big, giant blocking tight end that, can play Big Ten football and not look out of place. And yeah, so I'm really excited about this addition. I think this is a good one.
One more note on the Rusk side of things. He did come back from a knee injury that kept him out of his junior season at Illinois as well. And apparently, according to the Illinois tight ends coach over there, he was moving around the best he's seen him yet so far at Illinois this past year. So hopefully he only continues to get healthier and stronger at Arizona and evolve his game, because he was on the John Mackey Award watch list that year before he tore his knee up. So. And then also, Damon, I want to bring up Max's comment, because you and I were talking about it pre-show. There are rumors of a certain USC wide receiver making his way to Tucson, and Max says, taking the 4-star USC receiver finally makes up for Dorian Singer. Sometimes karma takes 3 years. And you were quite hyped about this potential addition pre-show. Where are we at on the USC receiver coming to Arizona?
Yeah, DJ Jordan is a guy that really hasn't really had the most fruitful of college football careers thus far. It's not as if we're looking at a dude that is lighting the world on fire. But that being said, he's a former 4-star recruit in the 24/7 Sports Composite. He was a top 100 recruit. Top 10 player in California, and now Arizona gets to, get their chance at trying to unlock the talent that is DJ Jordan. I think that this is the exact type of player that Arizona needs to take swings on, Kevin. I was saying that to you off air. Like, there are guys, and one comes to mind, and I think it's just because he was a USC transfer, but do you remember Hunter Echols? Yes. A guy who was at USC, was a very high recruit, was thought of highly coming out of high school, and just didn't really make his mark at USC. And that's because there's tons of talent at a spot like USC. And then you go and you look at Hunter Echols' stats at Arizona, and what did he have in terms of, he had a career high in essentially every category. He had 8.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. Like, it was a good season for Hunter Echols, and he made an impact that year. And I think that just getting in a spot where maybe you're having to compete with a little bit less top end premier talent around you just gives you more of a chance to shine. Again, Kevin, I like going after productive smaller school players and guys that have untapped potential from bigger schools. I think that those are the two avenues in which Arizona football should be going after in the transfer portal. And DJ Jordan feels like the type of guy who it's like, maybe he doesn't work out. Maybe it's a bust, right? But maybe, just maybe, he is that top 100 recruit that you like really, truly probably thought he was out of high school. And you're sitting there and you're going, we just got a game changer And we did so, in a kind of under the radar way. Like, we got a game changer that a lot of people weren't necessarily looking at. It's not like he's Cam Coleman, going to Texas Tech likely, or Amarian Miller going to ASU. Like, those guys are loud signings because they were so productive at bigger schools. But now I don't think Arizona's going to be really fishing in that pond, Kevin. I don't think that we can compete in that market as much. So I like this method of going after guys who are uber talented, who haven't made their mark yet, and who you could maybe get at an undervalued price.
I do as well, and I think this staff has shown that they're comfortable with the way that they evaluate their transfer receivers. I think we saw as recently as this past season, right, the Trey Spiveys, the Luke Weissongs, these guys that we really thought had impact on the offense when they were given the chance to do so. Even a Nunu Watley, for as many critiques and criticisms as Damon and I might have levied his way this season, he's still a guy that got high level usage for this offense, and hell, even scored in the Holiday Bowl, right? One of Arizona's lonely scores in that game was Nunu Watley. So I think that I trust this staff in their evaluation of receivers and understanding what Seth Doege wants from his receivers in an offense. And I think DJ Jordan, the fact that he's a freshman, it's not like you're going to potentially fall in love with this player the way they play the game and then poof, they're gone. Like a Chris Hudson, for example, right? Or a Luke Weissong. So I love that he's going to have more than one crack at this at Arizona, hypothetically. And that is a big deal for Arizona in that realm. We do have more to get to, not only on the, football side of things, I'm sure, but definitely on the basketball side of things. Arizona women's basketball taking on BYU today, and Arizona men's basketball taking on K-State tomorrow in a Big 12 showdown. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, do not go anywhere. If you have been involved in an accident or some sort of serious injury, there's only one number to call, 602-783-8841, Husband and Wife Law Team, the Husband and Wife Law Team. Mark and Alexis Breyer, the famous duo out here in the Valley, keeping people safe and getting wins in the courtroom, which is arguably, above all else, most important when you're looking for a law team. And why should you go to the Husband and Wife Law Team? I think it's because they are the specialists in this field. Only 1% of Arizona lawyers, all certified by the Arizona State Bar, are specialists in injury and wrongful death litigation. That is right, just 1%. You know who's a part of that 1%? The Husband and Wife Law Team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. They are certified specialists in this state, and you have access to their attorneys at any time. If you're a client of theirs, you can call them. That is one of their guarantees. Not many law firms are out here making guarantees. Law teams, I should say. You can cancel their fee agreement at any time for any reason. You will receive as much in your pocket as they receive for their lawyer fee, even if you have to reduce their fee to do so. And you may speak with one of their attorneys about the Arizona Wildcats in the Holiday Bowl if you want to, or about your case as well. So if you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841, or visit their website in our show notes below and tell them the Arizona Wildcats podcast over here at PHNX sent you.
Kevin, when you look around this studio, all you see is Circle K logos everywhere. We got one right here. You guys, of course, can't really fully see it, but this sign right here is a lit up Studio K custom Circle K sign that we have built in here. And we just got various Circle K stuff all over the place. We love Circle K so much. We appreciate them for sponsoring Studio K, sponsoring this fine podcast all the time. And of course, if you are not a member of the Inner Circle Rewards program yet, you need to go do so. It's so simple to sign up. It's free. It takes 2 minutes, Kevin, and it really just will save you so much money. If you haven't done so yet, you just hate money. I say it all the time, but who hates money? Who
Not
hates
me.
having money?
Not me.
And I'm telling you, whether you're a 100-aire, a 1,000-aire, a millionaire, a billionaire, this is a rewards program for you. You can save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups when you sign up. Then you'll save 3 cents off per gallon every time you fill up after that until you hit premium status like me and Kevin. And you'll save 5 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up at the tank. The savings don't stop there. 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, 30 cents off per gallon when you buy 3 12 to 16-ounce ALLCITY. I mean, there is stuff going on all the time when it comes to Inner Circle benefits over at Circle K. They even have fuel days where you can save 40 cents off per gallon. You just got to be on the lookout for them, Kevin. They come up about once a month. And it is the perfect time to go fill up your tank, but it's only for Inner Circle Rewards program members. So go sign up for today for the brand new free app. Join the Inner Circle. Download that app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Shout Shout out to everybody in the chat who is tapped in today, especially shout out from Deborah Owens, who is celebrating 3 months of membership here at PHNX. Shout out to Deborah for always tapping in, always supporting this podcast and all our podcasts here at PHNX. As Burries Muse says, Deb, you're the GOAT. Just throwing that out there. Jervis agrees as well. But yes, make sure to leave a like on this here show. Make sure to subscribe to this here channel. Shooting for 50K right now. 50 big ones right now. Damon, what would it mean to you to get 50,000 subscribers? Because I know I want that damn pizza party, but it's too late. That opportunity is past.
Cooked.
The dream is dead. It's over. So what do you want for 50K? You know what I mean? Like, I want 50K back for this channel. We want it bad. CHGO just hit 100K. I want to hit 50. Can we hit our mile? I want to hit a milestone. I want to do a thing. I want to have a little.
Be in Chicago.
I want to hit a little. What do they call them? The little noisemakers. I want to be doing that. But yeah, get us to 50K. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get this channel to 50K.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Kevin, we do have, I believe, one more Arizona transfer portal addition to talk about here before I move on to basketball, and that is Georgetown edge rusher Cooper Blomstrom, who is transferring, as I said, from Georgetown to Arizona. 27 TFLs, 16 sacks over the last 3 seasons. Out of those 16 sacks, 15 of them have come in the last 2 seasons because obviously as a freshman, he just didn't play all that much, but he's a pretty productive player. 7.5 sacks over the last 2 years is nothing to scoff at, and especially in college football. He's the first defensive addition to the portal cycle, and I believe our good friend Justin Spears noted that he probably will be the Riley Wilson replacement. So Arizona goes out and gets Riley Wilson last year, kind of an edge rusher, outside linebacker, tweener, and gets a very productive player out of the FCS ranks. Goes ahead and does the exact same thing in Cooper Blomstrom, who looks to potentially be a starter on Arizona's defense next season. That's
a big deal, and also I'm interested to see how Joe Salavea likes to carve out not the linebacker, but the defensive line. I'm interested to see if there's any developments in the defensive line transfer wise, because I know Riley Wilson was a big boost to that defensive line in terms of getting pressure, in terms of throwing the quarterback off rhythm, and also dropping back into coverage, getting 2 interceptions in the Holiday Bowl. But I want to see what that D line looks like as well next year.
Let Joe cook.
Let Joe cook. I mean, he's Big Joe for a reason. He knows his way around a plate. Let him eat. Let him cook. You know what I mean? So this is a nice first domino in that realm as well.
I don't think that this is possible at all. Literally at all. Okay. But I'm just going to throw it out here because it's the most single pie in the sky player I've noticed in the portal so far. Cade Uluave out of Cal. 235 career tackles. Obviously Polynesian.
Yep.
That's the type of, and I saw AZ Bandcat Sports say this. That's the type of guy that you get Joe Salavea to go get.
1,000%.
Now, I don't think Arizona is necessarily going to be playing in that realm. This feels like the type of guy that goes to USC, that goes to Oregon, that goes to one of the big giant West Coast schools that we're not necessarily competing with. But man, would that be nice? Would that be a nice addition to this defense? Would that make me feel a lot better about next season in general?
Man, it sure would, man. And in terms of the transfer portal, let us know in the chat what you want to see Arizona go for at this point in the portal. We have a couple additions in, but they're not done. We know they're not done. So let us know what you want from the Arizona staff in the chat down below, and we'll try to make sure it gets through the proper channels to the staff. You know what I mean?
Hey, Daggy, people were saying that they think we should get a new fullback because our short yardage wasn't good enough last season. Just a thought. LOL - Damon Dog. I think he'd love to receive that text. What do you think?
I mean, would he love to receive this one? Daggy, people in the chat, they're asking like, Jeremiah Smith, can we kick the tires on it? Can we just see what
Williams,
it would take?
Hit my line.
I mean, Ryan Williams wasn't even included on the ESPN graphics when they were previewing their team, so maybe he could use a change up. You know what I mean? We'll take him. We'll take him down here. But yeah. We do have a question from Michael in the chat. What's left of this year's wide receiver room? Wysong and a couple others gone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like 3 guys are going to be leaving essentially, primarily, I should be saying. That is going to be Chris Hudson, who was, of course, the number 1 wide receiver in this room and really proved that, as the season wore on. Unfortunately, won't be, returning next season. Nunu Watley, who was the Arizona's 2nd leading receiver, but I think everybody that watched Arizona this season would probably place him more around like the 5th best receiver on the team, 6th best receiver on the team even. Like he had that great game versus Weber State, 168 yards, but I thought that Nunu Watley was average last year. And then, of course, you also have Luke Wysong out the door, and then the two tight ends in Cameron Barmore and Sam Olson. So you've already, in Rusk, kind of replaced one of those two tight ends. So I think that the tight end room is shaping up. You haven't got that receiver from USC yet. Hopefully that happens soon. But as of right now, Chris Hunter, Trey Spivey, Gio Richardson, and Isaiah Mizell.
I'm pumped about Richardson and Mizell, man.
I agree.
That's an exciting duo.
You also have Brandon Phelps as well, who I think deserves a shout. And, got some rotation snaps this season and has a big opportunity to get some playing time next year. I think that you can be comfortable with those 5 and then probably, bring in like 1 or 2 other guys and that's the wide receiver room. I like where Arizona is at from a pass catcher standpoint.
I will say this, like, can we imagine what Trey Spivey might look like next year? I mean, the man for a brief period this year had about just as many targets as he did touchdowns. I feel like next year he could really take a leap forward, and I'm interested to see like how they supplement the talent, who they really are assuming is going to take on that number 1 wide receiver role. I know it took about a third of the season this year for that kind of hierarchy to really kind of play out. I feel like next year it could look a lot different from that realm of things. Damon, do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I think that next year's receiving core could be better than Arizona's receiving core this year, and that's no disrespect to the guys that were on the roster. As Roberto says here in the chat, it feels like Hunter and Spivey weren't utilized enough this year. I think even I would argue Luke Wysong wasn't utilized enough this year.
That's a fact.
I think that whenever he was throwing the football, it felt like he was coming up with the play that needed to be made. Not like he was like obviously catching the ball, juking 8 defenders into the dirt and taking it for 6, but. Yeah. Like he was taking the most advantage of his targets. Next year, I really like the kind of the development that Trey Spivey could have from last year to this year. Being that he's a younger player and that he will be an upperclassman next year, I think that we could be looking at a big jump there. Chris Hunter will be in his senior season. And I agree. Like he obviously struggled a little bit with injury this year, but I think Chris Hunter could have a much better year next year. And then I don't understand. Like, there's no world where you wouldn't be hyped about Gio Richardson and Isaiah Mizell being true freshmen and getting playing time like they did on a pretty like stacked top to bottom receiving core. Not like it was like upper echelon talent all over the place, but like there were dudes who could play up and down the roster. And these 2 true freshmen like carved out roles for themselves, particularly Gio Richardson. I think there's a lot to be excited about with the receiving core next year with Noah coming back. Like, that is my least of my concern as an Arizona football fan is pass catchers and quarterback. Now, we got to do some other things, and we got to figure out some other pieces, and we got to get some DBs in particular, O-linemen and DBs. But I like what Arizona has from like the pure like thrower to receiver standpoint right now.
AZ Bandcat Sports put out 35 minutes ago that Wyoming cornerback Tyrese Boss is currently in Tucson on an official visit, and he had 39 tackles in 12 games this season. So some help could be coming in the way of corner, maybe potentially from Wyoming.
And I believe 3 years of eligibility left on Boss as well. So it could be a long-term player for the Arizona Wildcats. But yeah, Arizona is now, we are fully cooking in the transfer portal now. Took a little bit of time. We had the last bowl game of all the conventional bowl games of the non-college football playoff games. Got back to town, lost our GM to Arkansas. Like there's been a little bit of extenuating circumstances as to why I think this thing hasn't hit the ground necessarily running, but Arizona is now doing that. And I think you can be excited about the guys that they've brought in thus far.
I want to ask you a real quick question that Roberto's comment here brought to my mind. Roberto's comment was, I just want to say I feel like Hunter is 20 or more targets away from being an NFL-type receiver. Made some of the best athletic catches this year. I wanted to ask you, if all the players that we expect to come back for Arizona in the wide receiver room do come back, which ones do you think have NFL dreams? Like NFL aspirations that are somewhat realistic?
Yeah, that's interesting. Out of those receivers that we think are coming back, I mean, shoot, I think Trey Spivey is like when you think about the talent and you think about the size and the way in which he breaks tackles and like is so elusive with the ball. To me, that is the most front facing. Like that guy's an NFL football player. I'm not saying he's going to be like a first round pick or something, but I do think that Trey Spivey is NFL bound. I hear you on Chris Hunter. I think Chris Hunter deserves a lot more opportunity next year on deep balls in particular, like you say, with the athletic catches. Like he supposedly in the spring practices throughout fall camp was like just his connection with Noah Fafita was on point apparently. And they were connecting on, from what we heard, about a deep ball of practice. And it felt like we didn't see that enough last season. So yeah, I'd like to see Chris Hunter get opportunity to kind of be that big play wide receiver next year. But anytime you have a true freshman that carves out playing time, I think you look at that guy and you say that guy's league, that guy's NFL, especially at Arizona. It's like you don't see as many true freshmen that play at places like Alabama or like Oregon. Like that's because there's so much talent there. But when a true freshman shows up at Arizona and he says, "I'm undeniable, you have to play me," typically that guy you point at him and you go, "Okay, that's an NFL player." Yeah. Jonah comes to mind. T-Mac comes to mind. Like those are guys that I think that you can bank on, potentially having professional careers.
Well, Damon, we do have football, in the back pocket to continue to, keep track of as transfers come in, go out, and whatnot. But basketball is being played today. Basketball being played tomorrow, and I want to talk about it on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So leave a like, stick around, do not go anywhere, please. Damon, I cannot lie to you. I need to be behind the wheel of a Corvette. And there really is only one realistic way for me to get behind the wheel of that said Corvette. And it's 4 casinos, 4 cars, 4 chances to win said Corvette, whether it's Wild Horse Pass, V Kiva, Lone Butte, or Santan Mountain. You know I'm talking about Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Now, you're familiar with the over 4,500 slots and live table games. You're familiar with the steakhouses. You're familiar with all the types of live events you can see at Gila River. But what about potentially winning a damn Corvette? Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. between January 16th and April 24th, there will be hourly drawings for free bonus plays to get that final finale entry. Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can also earn 4 times entries when you play with the card. Now, hot seat finale qualifier, that is on Thursdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Play with the card for your shot at winning big. The grand finales, Santan Mountain, April 27th, Lone Butte, April 28th, V Kiva, April 29th, Wild Horse Pass on April 30th. So make sure to head to Gila River, any of their 4 locations. Get to playing to participate in this giveaway competition. Do not miss your chance to accelerate into luxury. Play, earn, and win at any of the 4 casino locations. For more information, visit play@gila.com.
Corvette, Kevin. I'm pretty sure that's what the kids are saying these days. But of course, what I'm saying every day on this podcast is you need to head on over to brandedbills.com and check out this campus collection for yourself. I'm rocking one of the campus collection hats right now. It's got that state outline because, of course, we know we own Arizona. We own the state. This is the University of Arizona that we're talking about here. And I'll tell you what else Branded Bills owns. The Arizona Wildcats headwear fandom, Kevin,
Facts.
Because when you go to any Arizona Wildcats event, whether that's a game at McHale, a game at Casino del Sol Stadium, a game out there at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, I am seeing Branded Bills everywhere I go, and for good reason, because they are the most comfortable, the most stylish, and the overall best Arizona Wildcats hats that you will find anywhere. Kevin and I truly eat, sleep, breathe Branded Bills. We love it so much. Kevin's rocking one of our PHNX Sports custom collection hats, and of course, if you have your own company that you want to get some Branded Bills apparel from, that's easy to do. They have custom apparel. They have custom hats for your brand that they can get done for you, nice and simple. Of course, you can check out our PHNX collection. You can check out that campus collection over at the Branded Bills website, but use promo code BBPHNX for 15% off when you do so. They are a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. They love supporting local. They love supporting a local university like Arizona. And I implore you guys to go check out their campus collection for yourself over at brandedbills.com. BBPHNX, it'll get you 15% off. Of course, there were Kobe. There are Branded Bills hats everywhere when there's Arizona Wildcats around, perusing the streets, the great streets of San Diego. If we met you guys in San Diego, we, appreciate everybody for, hitting us up, hanging out with us. Meant the world, Kevin. We met a lot of new people, a lot of people that, were like, we'd be walking down the street. Hey, you guys are the podcast dudes. And we're like, We are,
Indeed.
in fact, the podcast dudes. But yeah, that was a really cool experience. And honestly, I'm just sad we didn't get more time in San Diego.
Yeah, another 24 hours would have been
Ideal.
really, really ideal.
Mhm.
Would have been really, really nice. Yes, we did, Jervis. We had a great time despite. I can't speak for Damon, but I had a great time despite the outcome of the game.
I saw a Fiesta or a Holiday Bowl shirt on the Arizona bookstore, Kevin, that I was looking at, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, I would buy this if we won.
Yeah.
If we won, I would have bought that. But it's, as I tweeted, like, it's just hard to, the seasons that end in losses don't feel the same as the seasons that end in wins. And that's the truth, despite what, a few opt-outs might think. You know what I mean? Like, it's that game did matter. And unfortunately, we didn't win it, and we definitely could have.
Yes, but we did enjoy our time out there in San Diego with producer Noah. Had a great time perusing the city, enjoying the sights, the sounds, the sea lions of it all.
Yeah, Z-list celebrities, Burries. That's what I like to say, Burries Muse. Z-list celebrities. As far down the totem pole as you could possibly get.
Yeah. Z-list celebrities is pretty good. Speaking of Z-list celebrities, Jerome Tang and K-State are coming to town. And all I have to say about this game is that I hope that Arizona. I just hope that Arizona shoots better from three than they did last year when they shot 2 for 22 against K-State and lost in Manhattan, Kansas. And in a game where you absolutely should have won that game, Caleb Love and company should have been able to get the job done. They were the better team that night, but they did not win, and that is okay because this year it's a whole new look, honestly, for both teams. Right? You look at K-State. I don't know, Damon, if I really. Because I feel like this is something I should have been all over in the offseason. But Nate Johnson, one of the Johnson brothers from Akron last year, Arizona's tournament opponent, has landed himself in Manhattan, Kansas. And now he is one of the starters for this team. Nate Johnson, currently playing 30 minutes a game for K-State. You got PJ Haggerty, one of the most premier transfer players in the country this past offseason. Man, he is leading them in points. He leads them in rebounds. He leads them in assists as well. PJ Haggerty doing it all. David Castillo coming off the bench, their second leading scorer coming off the bench. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Abdi Bashir Jr., pardon me mispronouncing the first part of his name, but man, I'll get to learn it probably because he can knock down the three at a really high rate. He is currently shooting the three ball at 47%, Damon, on a pretty decent volume as well. Kamari McGriff, one of their forwards, decent rim protector, standing at 6'9", and I feel like those are the main. You got Doran Buka, who stands at 7'2", but those are the main players that you're previewing if you're looking at this one. And I don't know, Damon. When you look at K-State, what do you think? Because when I look at K-State, I think it's the PJ Haggerty show, and if you get really great showings, like if you get an unbelievable shooting night from Abdi Bashir or Nate Johnson or Castillo, then you're cooking if you're K-State, but I don't really see them taking down Arizona at McHale in this one. Do you? No. You see it's realistic there?
No. I mean, I'll tell you the one thing that sticks out to me the most when I'm looking at this. They have no front court. Good players in the front court. None. Could you pick a worse recipe, a bigger recipe for disaster against the Arizona Wildcats than to genuinely have no matchup for Tobe Awaka, Mo Krivas, or Koa Peat? Their leading point per game scorer out of the front court is Kamari McGriff, who is a 6'9", 230-pound senior, averaging 10 points per game. Next up, Andre Kostic, a 6'6" small forward who's averaging 3 points per game. They just don't really have size. Their four leading point scorers are all guards. I think that is a disaster waiting to happen if you're a team that's about to play Arizona.
I agree with you, and you look at the one player that has like true, noticeable size on their team is Doran Buka, who stands at 7'2" and 254 pounds, and he plays in about 7% of their lineups. But man, I was watching that BYU game. They inbounded him the ball, and he dropped it under the basket. They slide it to him. He drops it, and his teammate has to go pick it up. Mo Krivas, Tobe Awaka, they're smacking that out of his hands, and it's Arizona ball, and we're going the other way. And in transition, we'll get to that later. But I think you're right. Like the front court in this matchup, the size, the rebounding, the physicality is all pointing in Arizona's direction in this matchup. I will say, I did notice, though, they kept it pretty close with BYU throughout the majority of that game. Now, I understand it was a sellout in Manhattan, I understand that, BYU on the road and AJ DeBanza had his worst game from a turnover standpoint of probably of his whole career. He had more turnovers than makes at one point in the game with 7. So I get all those variables, but man, I think you're right, Damon. To me, this front court does not stand a chance against Arizona's front court. You could argue that maybe you could, make an argument for their backcourt to really get it done for them in this one, but I just don't see it for them. PJ Haggerty's going to have 30 plus. You're going to have to get 15, 20 plus from Abdi Bashir with him shooting the lights out from 3. And most importantly, you're going to need them to not turn the ball over. We have a super chat from AZ Cats G. Not a buzzer beater this time, but a super chat nonetheless, $5. We were disappointed we didn't see you guys in San Diego. Outside of the results of the game, we had a great time there. AZ Cats G, man, we should have made that happen.
I have had the pleasure of meeting AZ Cats G in the past at a PHNX sports event, and yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad as well. We should have made it happen. Wish we were out there for a little bit longer and could have hung out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I just getting back to this game, I don't see this team as that big of a threat. Kobe says that he thinks the line opened at 20.5. I was trying to find it on Bet365, but it's currently unavailable right now. I just don't really see this one being much of a challenge for Arizona. I will say, they do have good guards. They really do. Like I look at those guards and I think to myself, man, those are some pretty solid ball players that we got there. PJ Haggerty, Nate Johnson, like Castillo coming off the bench, averaging double digits is impressive. They have good guards, but Arizona also has good guards. They just have an even better front court. Yeah. And if we just keep saying it, like when you don't have the size to match up with Arizona, you are screwed before the game even starts. Like that's the simplest, most elementary form of basketball analysis possible is our guys are taller than your guys and more athletic and better at the sport. And that means that we're going to win. And I think that's been the Tommy Lloyd mentality going into this season is like, yeah, we're going to have the biggest, most athletic, most physical team in the country. And that is going to like just whether, like even if you're having an off night, typically that is going to shine through eventually of like, well, they're getting all the rebounds and that's giving them extra possessions, even though they're not shooting it well. Oh, they're in foul trouble. Well, they have backups at every position except for point guard lined up all across the roster. Like this team is specifically built to, just go in and every single day, just dominate the interior. And if you can't match that with their athleticism, with their size, or you can't have an elite shooting night, you're in for a long night. And I think especially at home, Kansas State's in for a long night.
Yeah. I mean, tell me if this is a story you've heard before, or tell me if you are a K-State fan, if you'd be worried about facing Arizona. Right now, when I look at K-State, I see a team that can be out-rebounded, which leads to second chance points. I can see a team that can be kept out of the paint almost completely on offense. I saw that in the BYU game when they were able to pack the paint and keep PJ Haggerty out of it, or keep PJ Haggerty from being able to create at times in that one. Now, we'll get to PJ Haggerty driving to the paint in a little bit because, man, is he very special to watch when he gets downhill. But I also see a team that, and this is confirmed to me by what Jerome Tang said in his post-game presser after losing to BYU this past week, was they still do not know what combination of players results in consistent runs for them on offense.
Interesting.
Right? Arizona's got its rotation. It's 8 guys. It's locked. You're not getting in, you're not getting out. Right? That's just what it is. This is an escape room. You got to figure out how to cut down the nets to get off this team and get out of their rotation. That's just the way it is. K-State is on the other side where they just is it having Nate Johnson in the game? Is it having David Castillo in the game? Is it having McGriff in at the 5? Is it having Taj Manning in? They don't really necessarily know what combination of players is going to get it done over a stretch for them in a game. Like they got shut out for, they had a long time, I think 4 to 7 minutes without a basket against BYU in there at some point. And I think that is what Jerome Tank's talking about, of like, which combination of guys, when we need a bucket, can I throw in there and know that we're going to have some instant offense going? And that's not a recipe to beat Arizona, right? Getting kept out of the paint, being weak on the offensive boards, leading to second chance points for the other team, and not knowing exactly who you are yet as a team is a recipe to lose to the Arizona Wildcats. And now let's look at what they don't do very well. Let's just go right from that into their weaknesses as a team. Team weaknesses. Team defense. K-State ranks 292nd in the nation in scoring defense, allowing 78 points per game. They turn the ball over at a pretty high rate as well. Their turnover percent is at 15 right now, which is 51st percentile in the country. And they also are 31st percentile with 12.9 turnovers per game. I also think that they foul way too much. 21st percentile in personal fouls a game with 19 personal fouls a game. They had about 5 guys with 3+ fouls against BYU in their most recent loss. And especially a team as physical, as big as Arizona, I would expect K-State to be very vulnerable to not only paint points, not only second chance points, but free throws, costing them this one in Tucson. When you look at their weaknesses, Damon, what stands out to you?
I mean, I think just it's got to be that size component. Looking at that front court, that was my immediate, kind of evaluation. Just looking at their statistics, I just don't see them being the type of team that can match up with an Arizona and truly go toe to toe with them. You look at their defensive offensive rebounding percentage; they're 157th, which for a high level Power 4 division to Power 5 Division 1 team is pretty low. That's in the middle of the pack overall, but we're not talking about, SWAC teams. We're not talking about the Patriot League. We're talking about, a team that's in the Big 12 that's playing a lot of teams that are lower caliber than them, and yet they're still kind of middle of the pack in something, in an aspect like offensive rebounding given up to opponents. So I just think that, this team is going to get dominated physically inside, and that they're going to try to attempt to just basically outshoot Arizona, which really might be their only chance. Having a generational shooting night.
It would be, honestly, I was really intrigued by what Kobe said earlier. I'll come up and grab it. He said Arizona is just too good for most teams. You either have to be big enough to not die on the boards, or, and this is I think what K-State's going to attempt to do, is force a lot of turnovers and hit a lot of threes.
Correct.
Those are the paths to beating Arizona.
Maybe.
Yeah, to maybe beating Arizona.
You still might lose. That's the thing.
That's true. And I think K-State is going to try to force turnovers, try to hit threes, because that is what they are good at as we look at their strengths. They're great in the fast break. I was pretty surprised looking at this number from K-State as I pull it up here. They are in the 95th percentile with 16.4 fast breaks points per game. 18.7% of their points as a team comes from the fast break. And I think that this is a team that, while they do turn the ball over too much for their own good, they are able to force turnovers. They are able to force teams into mistakes and get out on the break. They're definitely looking to push a fast pace. I understand that they're 96th percentile in pace. So this is just a team that wants to have a track race with you as much as possible, try to turn you over, get out in transition, shoot threes, because their three-point shooting is absolutely on point. Damon, 23rd in the country in three-point percent, shooting 38.5% as a team. I mentioned Bashir shooting up near 50%, 47 as a player on very, very high volume. And then third and finally, offensive efficiency. Now, Jerome Tang adjusted his staff. He brought in, pardon me for forgetting the name of the assistant, but he brought in an assistant to pretty much run the offense for him this past year, to help him advance the offense from what it was last year with Coleman Hawkins, and a team that really got down in the dumps offensively at times last year, despite going on one of the better, more hot runs in the Big 12, beating like KU and some other really big teams last year, did K-State. This offense has really become efficient. 85th percentile in offensive rating, 92nd percentile in effective field goal percentage, and 85th percentile in offensive rating. Like, K-State is a really good offensive team. They really can pour in the buckets if they need to on you. So it's incumbent upon Arizona to clean up those messy turnovers we talked about so much all year, to make sure you cannot let K-State get out too far ahead of themselves and make this more of a game than it really needs to be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I do think that this is almost like we're going to carbon copy the recipe for what a team needs to do to beat Arizona practically in every game. Because, and this is the good side of it, the positive side of it, is that teams have to beat Arizona, right? Or Arizona has to beat itself, because going into every game, you're going to feel like the favorite. You're going to feel like the team that should win the basketball game. I would think, except minus maybe the BYU and the Houston games. I would say, like other than that, I feel pretty confident for the most part. Even Iowa State too, I guess, but that's really a lot later into the season. I think that teams are going to have to just like Kobe said, like you said, force turnovers and just shoot the lights out. That's the recipe for beating Arizona, because no team has, other than maybe Michigan, even has the size to go toe to toe. Or I guess Florida's up there in terms of size as well. But like it's few and far between the teams that actually have the size to go toe to toe with Arizona. So that means, okay, we're gonna have to play small ball. And when you play small ball like that against a team like this, you're giving yourself like a sliver of hope. Like it's going to take everything to win that game. And I think that's why this Tommy Lloyd team is so set up for success. Is it's just they don't even have to play their A game to beat teams typically. Like they just have to go out there and just be bigger and rebound and dominate the paint, and things will work itself out eventually.
I agree with you on that, Damon. Looking back to a team that tried to force turnovers and shoot threes against Arizona for only it to fail, that was the Alabama Crimson Tide, who were only able to force 4 turnovers from Arizona. 4. 2 of them being from freshman Ivan Karchenkov. Let's see how that goes for K-State. They had 15 turnovers themselves, and that was a game that Arizona won by 21. I honestly think that maybe this is a crazy man's take, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but the result is the same. I think Arizona wins this, but by a closer margin than they beat Alabama by. I think K-State is able to keep this game closer than Alabama was. I'm a big fan of the dogs that they have in their backcourt, right? Like Haggerty, Johnson, Castillo. Like some of the finishes he was able to. Castillo is only 6'1", Damon, so I'm not the biggest fan of his actual game from like a pro prospect standpoint. But when you watch him finish these layups over 6'9", 7 foot tall, 6'10" guys, it's damn impressive the way he hurls himself at the rim and acrobatically finds his way to finish stuff. He's their second leading scorer coming off the bench. This K-State team has talented basketball players. We talked about Nate Johnson in preview of the Akron matchup in the tournament last year. He was one of the best players in the MAC. Yeah. The entire conference. He was one of the best players.
Didn't he win Player of the Year?
Yeah, I believe he did. Was he the guy that won? I should look this up, but I believe he won Defensive and Player of the Year.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. But he's an absolute dog as well, and you have one of the most sought after transfer players in the portal in PJ Haggerty. So I'm not overlooking this K-State team at all. I think that they are a team that played BYU damn close for most of that game, even though I think it's going to look a lot like that game from a score, like a win probability standpoint of like, okay, BYU's in control. K-State's nipping at their heels, but they're not gonna lose this game to K-State right now. And it could get close at times. K-State might go on a run, but yeah, Arizona's gonna get this one done. M in the chat. I want more Awaka threes.
Sharpshooter.
Let
Tobe
it fly.
Awaka.
Let it fly, Tobe. Let it fly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Nate Johnson right here. He was in fact the player that won both the Player of the Year in the MAC and the Defensive Player of the Year.
That's crazy, man.
It is, and he's a phenomenal player. He really is. And so is PJ Haggerty, as Erica puts here in the chat. PJ Haggerty, of course, coming from Memphis, Erica's other team, but also coming from like 3 other schools as well, because the dude just transfers once a season. But he is a hell of a basketball player. 23 points per game this year, doing so on pretty efficient shooting of 51.1%, Kevin, which is technically it's not his career high because he shot better at TCU in the 6 games and 8.8 minutes per game he played there as a freshman. But in terms of like the games that he's like when he's playing like starter minutes and he's really rolling, this is his career high in shooting percentage. So yeah, I mean, he's having a great start to the season. I think Kansas State has a lot of like players that are interesting. They did last year. They had players that were interesting last year.
A lot less of them though, in my opinion.
But they weren't very good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think this year you have interesting players that and no crazy disrespect to last year's K-State team, but like I just think this year's K-State team is flat out way more talented. Right? Like Coleman Hawkins, or like come on. Like he's
Doug McDaniel was kind of nice.
He was kind of nice. But I'll just take this year's K-State team over last year's K-State team and not have any buyer's remorse, I don't think. Like I think that this year's team is a lot better than last year's team. Now we'll see how far they go, right? But I think from a pure talent standpoint, I'm taking this year's team over last year's K-State team.
What if I told you that, and not that this is a huge discrepancy, but Kansas State last year, 65th in the Ken Pom is what their finish was. Kansas State this year, 72nd as of right now.
We'll see where they end up. But I'll stand on my business of the take that I had.
Wouldn't it, to get those guys, their Ken Pom projection of conference record is 6-12. Wouldn't that be pretty damn disappointing? That gets Jerome Tang fired, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
has to.
Jerome Tang's seat is hot. He is not sitting down right now. That's how hot his seat is. POV or Jerome Tang after beating Tulsa in a non-conference setting. Yeah, I mean, let me pull up their Ken Pom real quick here. So you have their conference schedule is BYU, loss, Arizona, loss, Arizona State. That's interesting because it's at Arizona State. I would assume K-State wins that one.
They should.
But Arizona State's not a team you can just like overlook.
It's a projected L on the Ken Pom.
It is, but I do think that they beat Arizona State. UCF, they're losing to UCF. Oklahoma State, damn, that's going to be a good game. Ken Pom hates K-State, man.
They do.
Looking at these games, I'm like, you're not even giving them a chance in some of these games.
They hate them.
They do hate them. They lost by 1 to Nebraska ball, man. This is not a bad basketball team.
They have them beating Utah, Cincinnati, TCU, and West Virginia.
I'm surprised they got them beating TCU.
Yeah.
No, they don't have it. No, wait. Oh, they do. The
Yeah,
second TCU matchup.
Yeah.
And then what? Yeah, man, that's.
I do think that they'll finish better than that.
I do too. I don't think they're gonna finish 6-12, man. That's a bit outrageous. Maybe like 8-10.
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, I don't think K-State is a bad basketball team. I think that Jerome Tang's in trouble, but I do think that they're talented, and I think Arizona gets the job done regardless.
I think Sam's right. It is indicative of how good the Big 12 is that a team that has that much talent, that has Nate Johnson, that has PJ Haggerty, can go and finish in 12th place in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one team in the Big 12 right now ranked outside of the Ken Pom top 100.
Yeah,
and that's Utah. I mean, they're 28 spots outside of it, but only one team outside the top 100. You're only facing the best of the best in the Big 12. Damon, before we get on out of here, I wanted to talk a little bit about PJ Haggerty because, like Terrence Brown from the Utah game, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of PJ Haggerty pounding the rock into the pavement, trying to get this job done for K-State. And I wanted to start here because we're going to try to get into like how to stop him. First and foremost, I'm not sure you can like fully shut him down. The way his game is predicated, the way he moves, the way he plays out there. But I will say, like, watching him drive downhill, he is so creative. And once he's stopped, even if he's in midair, looking around, finding a big, whether it's dumping it down, going over the top, like going around. He's such a creative passer when driving downhill. That's one thing that stood out to me about his game, beyond just being fun to watch. But in terms of something that I think Arizona can take advantage of is because of the way the offense is predicated around him when they need a bucket, he can kind of over dribble a little bit at times. He can kind of hold the ball for a little bit too long, get pressured, get doubled, turn it over. That's where I think Arizona is going to be able to shut him down in this one, or slow him down, I should say. When he gets into that painted area, I do expect them to either have Peat waiting on him or send a double at him, make him make a decision, and then see if Arizona's defense can stunt and rotate and help in that way. Because I think that if you can stop his second option, right, whether it's, he drives, jump stops, he's looking for someone. If you can stop that action, I don't think he has a solve for that. He's going to have to pass the rock. And then I believe Arizona can stop whoever. You've already stopped Nate Johnson last year, right? You can do that. And Bashir, while he can shoot the three and some pretty crazy leaning threes as well, he's not like the off the ball or on the ball creator that a PJ Haggerty is. So if you can get the ball out of PJ Haggerty's hands by forcing the drive and then stopping the drive, I think Arizona is in good motion here to get this job done, probably by 20, which is unfortunate, right? Because you win the last game by 19, and that would have been the program record, 9 straight 20-point dubs. Then you can get to 10, and man, unfortunate, man.
I agree with you. I think PJ Haggerty is the type of player where like he's going to score.
Yeah.
But what does that look like?
Yes.
Right? Like that's how hard are you making him work for these buckets? Is he involving others in the offense, or is the attention that you're giving him, allowing for others to get open and efficient shots? And I think Arizona can defend in a way that, like, yeah, he's going to have to work hard as hell for every bucket. And he's going to have to, like, bleed the shot clock for you know, a decent look. And, you know, maybe he gets a little bit more in tunnel vision mode because he is having to work so hard for these buckets. I think that's where Arizona has to be. So who would you want to be the primary defender on a PJ Haggerty?
It's a good question. That's a really good question because PJ Haggerty, for only being 6'4", when you watch him on the court, he looks a lot bigger than 6'4", 195.
Yvonne?
Yeah, I kind of like Yvonne in that matchup. He's really quick, like side to side. He has great anticipation. His hands are super active. I think Koa would almost be like wasted on PJ Haggerty in a way because of his size, and athleticism. Yeah, give me Yvonne on PJ Haggerty. I really like that. Yeah. Burries was saying give Brayden Burries to PJ Haggerty.
I think Brayden Burries, and like this is no disrespect, but like the other players that play next to him are just so good at defense that
so
like
good.
I almost want him on the not to say he's like a bad defender, he's hurting the team, but like I want him on the easiest defensive matchup to preserve his offensive ability a little bit. Let Jaden Bradley and Ivan Karchenkov do the dirty work. You know what I mean? That's what they're there for. That's what we have them on the damn team for. But I do think that you know, obviously there's going to be times where Burries is matched up on PJ Haggerty, and that's going to be really fun to watch, like what his defensive development so far this season has looked like and how he goes up against probably the best individual guard scorer that we've seen all season, right? You would say?
I would say so.
We played some really damn good guards this season, so it's not like
maybe LeBaron Fairall.
Yeah, Fairall is up there. I think even a solo ball deserves a little bit of a shout.
Yeah, I'm just not a big solo ball guy.
Yeah,
cool name, great muscles on him, but I don't know about his actual, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think his game. Whoa, I don't think that his game necessarily moves me as much as maybe his muscles does. You know what I mean? Hey, real quick, chat. I showed Damon when we our little our photo like service that we use here at PHNX to get our photos from these games. They took a photo of solo ball. I don't think I've ever seen a more hulking guard player. Like, he looked like he had the same muscle mass as Tobe Awaka. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I'm not necessarily moved by his game. Xavier Lee, David?
Not one of them. Not him. Certified not him.
Man, Xavier Lee.
Xavier Lee is right now, Kevin, guess his shooting percentage.
Like in field goal percentage? 42? Jackie Robinson?
36.7% from the field right now. And that is not from three. That is from the field. Yikes. Now, would you like to guess his three-point percentage?
18.
26.7%.
Damn.
Man, what a disaster for Xavier Lee.
Yeah, what a disaster.
Donovan Dent also was kind of put in that regard, right? And he's averaging 2 less points per game than solo ball. He's averaging 13.5 points per game. And he has his moments, but yeah, he's not that guy either.
I think our candidates right now are LeBaron Fairall.
It's Fairall and Haggerty.
And LeBaron Fairall.
Yeah,
that's about it.
And solo ball is probably underneath them, but yeah, it's probably those two at the top.
How many dollars per percentage point is Xavier Lee?
Six, literally $1 million. It's $1 million per 6%. 6%.
Man, absolutely unbelievable. Do we have any more on this K-State matchup? We are going to do our post game show stuff tomorrow for this one, breaking it down for you guys. So, do we have any more on this, Damon, before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. We're going to be live for pregame, I believe, right? Tomorrow, Indeed. Kevin. We'll be doing a pregame show 30 minutes prior to tip-off, getting you ready and primed for Arizona versus Kansas State. And then, of course, we'll be live about 10 minutes after that final buzzer sounds. Kevin, Damon, I believe Saul Bookman will be there in Tucson, boots on the ground, calling in from the McHale Center. Cannot wait for it. Hopefully that you guys will all join along with us. It's been a great day coming back here. Can't wait to provide you guys with some more updates on some transfer portal news from the Arizona football side of things. And, of course, talk about the number one team in all of the land, the Arizona Wildcats. in the basketball side of things. It truly is a great time to be an Arizona Wildcat right now. Kevin, you can follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Posts. That's KEVOPOSTS. You can follow me at Damon Dog. That's with a DAWG on the end. And of course, you can follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social, except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Kevin doing great work over there on the TikTok streets. Appreciate everybody for tuning into this one. Drop a like on this video. And what do we got before we get out of here, Kevin?
I was just checking the scoreboard, making sure we didn't miss anything in terms of Big 12 games. Did you know tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, Texas Tech taking on Houston?
I did.
That's a massive matchup. Kansas taking on TCU. UCF taking on Oklahoma State as well. But, man, I don't know where. I'll probably be doing McHale Madness at the time, maybe here at the office. But I got to see that Texas Tech game versus Houston. Consider me watching absolute cinema with that Texas Tech Houston game. But yeah, we can get out of here. Just want to make sure people were tapped in for that one.
That Oklahoma State UCF game is pretty damn interesting as well.
A sleeper matchup.
Given that it's in Stillwater.
Yeah.
So UCF, who kind of has been like the darling team of the conference thus far, and I still think has more to prove to people before they are like truly like taken more seriously. But Kevin and I definitely have our eyebrows raised at what they got going on. I believe Champy in the chat said something as well about how that game is going to be a really interesting matchup. So yeah, UCF projected to lose by a point according to KenPom. 51-49 is the projection there. About as close as it gets, Kevin. Actually, I believe that is factually as close as it gets. It should be a good matchup. And I think that one will tell us a lot about both those teams, about Oklahoma State and UCF, two teams that have had really, really good starts to the season thus far. We're going to find out a lot about those teams tonight. We'll find out more about Kansas State and Arizona tomorrow on our pregame and postgame coverage. Hopefully you guys are along for the ride with us. Like I said, follow me, follow Kevin, follow us, and we'll see you tomorrow on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Until then, peace out, bear down.
And go Cats. Becky Burke versus BYU tonight at 6. Tap in, tune in.
We all silly like the mayor.